Hi everybody, welcome to Blair's Breakdown from Atlanta Motor Speedway, our second stop of 3 here in Georgia. We're gonna do something really cool to kick off the show. My phone has been blowing up. Everyone wants to know, how is Cameron McAdoo doing? I figured the best way to find out is to ask the man himself. So here we go, let's talk to Cameron. Cameron, my phone's been blowing up. Everybody wants to know how you're feeling. How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling rough, but I feel grateful to be sitting in an ice bath in my hotel, honestly, which is pretty surprising. But yeah, I'm just happy that I'm okay. But I'm really banged up today, obviously, and I've been basically hot cold all day and doing therapy with Dr. G and stuff. So I'm sore, but we're healthy, to a certain extent. So grateful for that.
Okay, so I gotta know, like, what's the ice bath actually like? I heard they're brutal. Is it that bad?
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I'm 5 minutes in right now, so like I'm pretty much already numb, but I'm literally sitting in my hotel bathtub. But honestly, probably the hardest part is going straight back to hot, because that's kind of what we do. We go back and forth with it, and then yeah, it's not too fun, but I mean, it really helps, especially when you're in a situation like me. I think we've got 3 days to be back to be my best to race Saturday again. So doing everything I can.
Let's go through, I guess, some of the process of last night. I'm standing up on the tabletop where you were. When you crashed, what was the first thoughts? Obviously, the physical pain was part of it, but emotionally, mentally, like, what else is going through your mind when you were up here on the tabletop right after the crash?
To be honest with you, my first thoughts were just massive disappointment. Like I was disappointed in myself and like what happened. And I was like, it was obviously such a massive crash, and I knew I couldn't get up, and honestly, all the emotions of maybe title hopes going away and who knows what, right? And if I was okay, and just to be glad to be okay, because I knew it was a pretty big crash. And yeah, I was disappointed in myself and how it all went down. But and then once I realized I was okay, I was just grateful to be okay, and grateful for the medics and stuff. Those guys were right there right away, and those guys are second to none. So that was awesome.
So when you're on the gate preparing to take off again for the second start of that main event, how are you processing that whole part of it too? Because I have to imagine you're thinking championship, you're thinking about your body, you're thinking about what just happened, what's about to happen. How are you processing everything in that moment while you're on the gate?
Yeah, it all happened, so fast that by the time I got back up there, and I went through all the tests with the doctors and stuff like that. And during that, my mechanics were trying to piece my bike back together, because it was destroyed. So they were doing everything they could to get that back going. And it was just all so fast that, once I got on the gate, I told myself, like, I have to try. Like, I didn't know what condition my shoulder truly was in, what condition my hand was in. Still don't really know, but I wasn't even sure if I was able to ride, but I'm like, I'll know going down the start straight. So I knew I had to give myself a shot and give my team, every single thing that I have in me, because that's what they give to me. So I knew that I would be happy with that if I did that. So honestly, I was just like, lock back in and don't think about how bent your bars are. Don't think about how bad these things hurt. Like, just, this is what you got, so deal with it.
The first half of the main event, we're all watching you like in disbelief. You're passing people, you're blowing by them in the whoops in the sand. And then the second half, I could see that you were starting to labor a little bit. The speed slowed down. I have to imagine the pain kicked in. Is that what happened about halfway through?
Yeah, obviously it was really painful like the whole time, but you have that adrenaline rush that is something that kind of can really get you through some stuff that you probably shouldn't be able to go through, I guess. But it was more so not just the pain, but the loss of strength in my leg and in my hand. So like, I was really making moves in the sand. I had a few spots that I was really good in the sand, the whoops, and a few of those sections. And then once my leg lost the grip strength to actually grip the bike, I had to be very precise, because usually I can have strong enough legs to really hold the bike straight, but the way the whoops were getting edged out and stuff, like I could not take the chance of catching an edge because I couldn't grip my bike. So that was really the biggest thing. I physically, like, I didn't really feel like I got tired. I got to where I physically couldn't grip it. It wasn't so much the pain. It was just the no strength in my legs. So that was a bummer, but I mean, it was, I can't really, discredit myself too much and be too bummed on it, because I did my best, and I knew that, I told myself that's all I'm going to do is my best. So
after the race, one of the coolest parts of Supercross, in my opinion, is when a rider wins or he's on the podium, he comes up to the podium, he's got his team and his family and his friends. You had Maddie with you, obviously Nick Way's there, your mom's with you, the team. What did it feel like for you pulling up to the podium, knowing that you had a lot of people that were, very happy to see you be okay, and then be able to pull that off? I mean, what was the emotion like in that huddle with the family and the team and everybody once you got together?
Man, it was pretty crazy. Like, obviously I have a really good group of people around me that really care for me. So even just the result aside, I think it was a huge, like, sigh of relief for my mom, for Maddie, for Nick, because my mechanic and my team, because those people truly care for me, and they still weren't sure how okay I was, even though I raced, like, they don't really know that I'm okay, like, to a full extent. Like, so it was, I think, a big thing for them. And my dad was at home watching, and when I rewatched the broadcast, I'm like, man, I can't imagine, being him and seeing that. But it was good because the TV crew did well of, showing that I was moving and I was okay, to a certain extent. Who really knows, but I was moving at least. So that was good. But yeah, it was a big, it was pretty emotional especially for my mom and for my girlfriend, Maddie. That was like, they were, in a pretty unsure state. And even Nick, he was very concerned for me. So that was, it's nice to have people that really care. But yeah, we made the best out of what was looking to be a disastrous night.
Well, Cameron, I just want to say congratulations, and I speak on behalf of everybody. We're so glad you're okay, and I know it's going to be a rough couple days for you trying to heal up and keep this thing going. So just respect, man, a lot of respect, and congratulations on being on the podium, and we're glad you're okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
That was cool. First and foremost, the fact that Cameron's okay and he's with it and he's talking and he seems pretty positive, to me, that is like the best part of this whole thing. Yes, the podium, that is wow. From a championship perspective, wow. And from a racing side, wow. But from a personal side, just to hear from him and have him in good spirits, that means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to you too. So, all right, let's talk about that 250 class. First, we'll start with the winner, Justin Cooper. What I did like about Justin Cooper's night is the red flag happens, he goes back to the gate, and it was a pretty long time before they started the second one. That's a lot of time to think, that's a lot of time to wonder, and for a guy who's had some start issues this year, remember he went through a run where he couldn't get out of the gate, he had to go back to the gate and do it again, and for him to be able to pull another good start, I mean, that's clutch. So from the racing side with him, I thought that was a very clutch move for him to get that done and get that win and get out front, because as you've seen here in Atlanta, like it's been pretty wild out here. So you get a 10th place start, which we're gonna talk about Malcolm Stewart here in a second. You get a 10th place start and you're kind of in that world, like, look, a lot of things can happen. And so for Justin Cooper to execute 2 starts back to back, especially with that long gap in between, that was very, very good for him. I do want to talk about his podium interview, because I know you're all going to freak out and you're going to be mad if I don't cover it. I think that he probably right away learned that maybe what he said on the podium wasn't the best thing to say. Probably some internal thoughts. Obviously, he's chasing a championship. There's a lot of pressure on him to do it. So he's probably from a, I guess, legality side of the rule book and all that, he's probably a little concerned. I think he learned right away that maybe the podium wasn't the place to express that. So even when he said it, I kind of felt like, oh no, I don't think he meant that moment to say that, and it wasn't taken well by a lot of people. I sympathize with him on the mistake, but at the same time, he did say something that was probably ill-timed. So that's as far as I'm going to go with it. You guys have your own opinion on it. I'm not going there, but I figured I owe it to you to give you a little bit of my thoughts on that. So that's as far as I'm going. Hunter Lawrence, freaking what a ride. I mean, God, he came through, made passes late. And on the podium, I asked him, like, is this for the championship and to keep that alive? And he kind of chuckled, and I realized right after that he probably wasn't thinking about the title in that moment. He was just thinking about beating guys because he likes to beat guys and do better than the guys that he races against. So I'm always looking at that big picture thing. So I'm looking at it like, hey, those moves were for the title, but he kind of laughed and said right away, no, I just like to beat people. So thought it was awesome. He rode great. He's been great since he's been here, and it's good to get that second place finish to give him, you know, put a result on paper that matched how he's been riding since he's been here. He's been awesome. Cameron in third. From a racing perspective, I was standing with Nick Way, his coach and trainer, and his girlfriend Maddie right before the gate dropped, and I couldn't believe like he was gonna ride, and I just told Nick, I said, hole shot. He's gonna hole shot. Watch, adrenaline, he's gonna hole shot. And Nick kind of laughed, and he's like, I'm not taking that bet. And sure enough, Cameron takes off. He doesn't end up with it, but man, he comes out in the lead, and I'm just like, what? I mean, I just threw it out there like as a joke, and he did it. I talk about adrenaline and how it works. That was proof right there. Huh. Starting gates. These were pretty gnarly, by the way, yesterday. I was surprised. I did a little walk before. All these ruts were pretty tough. Like all the 250 riders spent a long time trying to figure out where they were gonna go. I think McAdoo ended up being out here. I think Cooper and Thrasher was way inside and got a good jump and pulled it off, so that was cool. Nate Thrasher, after Saturday's win, I said a top 5 is a win for him, and it was. Did he end up 4th or 5th? I think he got 4th. I think he got 4th. That was a win. He backed it up and looked good again. And I'm just really proud of that guy and the way he was able to handle the first 5 races of the season and work past that. And now he looks legit up front. I mean, it's no joke. And I think it's good for him to come into his own right here in Atlanta and kind of show that, hey, I'm going to be one of these young stars too, because Hammaker got some, Robertson got that podium at Daytona, and for Thrasher to get that win, it would have been tough to come out and get 7th or 8th or 9th again, and for him to be right up front, battling up front, fast again, not on the podium, but to me, I still believe that that was a win mentally more than anything. He's one of those guys now, and that is good for him. Let's go find Alex, have a little chat about the track, and then we'll cover the 450s. All right, we found him. He tried to drive away too. He saw me and he drove away. I chased him down.
You kept walking away.
Now, you hear that? That is, well, I don't know. Hopefully you didn't hear that because the mic down there, that is not true.
A little bit, you just kept walking.
No, that is not true.
You didn't want me to be here.
Hey, bro.
What's up?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
We are tweaking things.
Tweaking. Sand is moving, I see, because you got the big loader.
Yep.
You guys are stealing from there and you're moving right here?
Yeah, pretty much. We got an off camber going in.
Ooh.
Kind of like the old school, you know, they used to have a lot of those maybe 5-6 years. We used to see a bunch more of them.
Yeah.
But we're throwing in one of them. A lot of the back section stuff, like that rough outdoor section, there's not much dirt down there, but it's not going to be the same.
Move some things so the feel is different, even though it'll be similar style.
Yeah, so, I mean, originally when we designed these 3 tracks, for how big this place was, never being here before, not knowing about weather, the majority of what went into it was just so we didn't get into a pinch or a bind or screw ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
So now that, for the most part, the weather is good, I mean, I'm trying to change as much as I can without the logistics behind it becoming an issue, like,
right.
All the maps being different that the TV guys have, or
because the camera placement, I'm assuming, and stuff. So maybe a lot of the big thing. Okay.
Doc Bodner and his pass. There's a lot more than just me saying, "Oh, let's change what we had originally designed to this because it would be better." There's other departments. So
it's not just about the track itself. There's all the other logistics that need to be made sure you're okay there before you make a dramatic change.
Yeah. So.
Now I did notice the first 2 track maps weren't exactly what they were. The layout wall was, but there was a couple different things. Was that just based on when you got here? Some lengths were longer, some were shorter, because it was just a little different.
Yeah, we tried to make for more passing. Because originally, if you look at track 2, you come off the bridge on the plan that was online. Then it was like a big sweeper that hooked in. And there was more room there than what we originally intended. So having that 180.
Oh, to get that bowl turn and that big step up.
Yeah, that 180 step up, and then that sweeper was just tighter and a little slower. And I think it allowed some more passing opportunities than just some wide open one line like sweeper.
Makes sense.
Stuff like that.
Soil, like it's dry right now, right? It's daytime, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, last night, that stuff was so good. Well, I mean, give me the science behind that soil. Like, why was it so good? It seems like it held water, it ruts, but doesn't rut all the way. It's traction. I mean, just what is it?
Luck.
And luck is not only what it is, but where it is too. Didn't you guys? Is it somewhere around here? Like
it's like a mile or so that way in a parking lot. It's just a whole giant.
And you just
hole.
dug to just see what was there, and it happened to be the best dirt ever.
Yeah, it takes water pretty good, and it's like it doesn't blue groove.
Yeah.
I mean, it was baking in the sun yesterday. We were putting water on it a lot, and it never.
It
really,
just it kept churning.
Yeah.
And mixing in.
So like for outdoor events, like you see some of the struggles we have in like Orlando or
Vegas,
Salt Lake or Vegas, it's like when it bakes in the sun and it's super wet, it eventually, if we can't have enough maintenances to keep tending to it, it turns into cement. Then when you water it,
it's ice.
It's so dangerous. So this material is optimal for how big, and the sun baking on it, it's great.
Well, it took the beating on Saturday with the rain, and it took the beating yesterday with the sun.
Yep.
I think the weather even gets a little better the rest of the week. We might be playing in just the perfect weather on Saturday. So, how about racing? Let me ask you a racing question.
Okay.
And this is a track question, so this is going to relate to you.
Uh-huh.
Cooper Webb, to me, which I'm going to get into in my 450 breakdown, did not have the speed here, and I'm trying to digest it like this. He's very tactical, very efficient. He's a great racer, but on that raw speed, the high speed stuff, he doesn't really hang it out like Jason Anderson does. And I felt like speed-wise, he just got kind of beat up last night because he doesn't have that raw speed.
Yeah.
Is that what you saw too? And knowing that this track is that style, this is a Supercross track with obstacles, but dude, this track's fast. Do you feel like this track layout kind of just isn't his thing at the moment?
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he's more of a tight kind of indoor stadium race. He seems to excel in the corners.
Arlington, he's very, the way he rides and races is very tight, low mile per hour, right?
Yeah.
This was high mile per hour.
Yeah, so Anderson, or, they're taller, got longer legs. Maybe this is just, they gel with it more than he does. Or maybe it's something that we don't know about. I don't know. I mean, you talk to him more than I do. So.
Just drop the long legs stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking to someone who's got some issues in that department, man. Don't back up the camera and look at my legs.
Yeah.
Get.
He would still be
that wasn't for you.
Legs.
Yeah. Oh. Anyways, I felt like this track though just seemed like I don't really know who it was for, but it looked like it was against his style. He's a bottom of the berm guy, and he's a great racer, so he learns on the fly, but he's also good when there's 28 laps in a main event and the track gets beat up. This track didn't get beat up like that because they only did, how many laps was the main? Like 13 or 12, 14, something?
Much.
So I feel like this is just not his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And it cost him last night because they were kind of picking on him there in the early part of that main event.
Seemed to be struggling in the whoops a little bit.
You see him move over?
He did.
Get to the other side?
I mean, the whoops for next one are going to be even longer.
Same area, just a longer set?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe no double?
No double.
But more whoops.
More whoops.
Ooh, and how about Kenny?
Kenny surprised me.
That was phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
It was perfect.
The first half of his race, the pace he had was unreal.
It never let up either. And you know what's weird? I don't know if you saw this too. He was so good about putting the power down, efficiency, while also being high speed fast.
Uh-huh.
There was no slop. There was no waste. It was efficient, but just fast. It was I thought, a perfect ride. There was nothing missing.
Did you look at his lap times?
Well, he was in the 35s for a long time, right?
He was they were almost right on every time.
Webb started in the 38s, got into the 36s a couple times, then went back to the 37s. When I looked at Kenny's, it was like 35, 35, 36, 35, 35, 36.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just...
And for how long of a track it was and how many spots you couldn't make mistakes, I think to be that tight on a track this big is more impressive than being that tight in a stadium, say.
Yeah.
So I think Barcia rode really good too.
Sexton was good.
Sexton
they all
was good.
were pretty, I mean,
Yeah.
and Cooper was okay. I thought Cooper as a racer really got it together and tried the brake check thingy on the,
Yeah.
that's a bummer because
I didn't see it. I didn't really see it.
I was thinking Webb was going to get by him and get a 4th, and instead hit his back tire, got a 6. So he ended up losing a couple points that could have gone his way a little bit better. But my last question for you,
Okay.
if you were to take this track at round 2 of Atlanta and go to 3, do you think the next one is faster or is the next one slower as far as the obstacles and just a guess?
Let's see.
Because obviously from 1 to 2 it was faster, mostly because of weather.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if the design is going to be a slower speed track, more like what we saw, or is it going to tighten up and be a little bit more technical, supercrossy everywhere? Because I think the balance has been perfect. I'm just curious of what the next one might.
Yeah.
Just a guess.
So I'm gonna say the lap times themselves are probably gonna be somewhat similar. I'm still trying to do some more changes than what we originally intended to do. So that's a factor that you guys might see on race day.
Okay.
It might be as planned, it might not be. I can let you know in a little bit. But
Okay.
I'm gonna say the times are gonna be about the same, and it's gonna be a little bit more on the technical side.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, Cooper Webb, if you're watching, might be better for you. And the rest of the guys are probably like, leave it how it was. It was good
right?
for a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So thank you. Appreciate it. I'll let you get back to it. And I'm excited to see what you come up with when you're done.
All right, sounds
Thanks.
good. See you guys.
All right, good talk. I guess that will kickstart our 450 coverage. Kenny, I mean, let's talk about it from an individual night's perspective and then a big picture. Individual night, he was flawless. He was the fastest. Now remember, Anderson was your fastest qualifier, but Kenny was the fastest qualifier in the second session. So he goes into the night program with the fastest laps from the previous sessions. That was good. Heat race was good. Main event was a flawless night, and he needed one of those bad, just for his own psyche. And of course, now we talk big picture championship. He lost so much on Saturday, and to be able to get that back and get it to 13, oh, I mean, he needed that so bad, and it's injected a little life into this championship. I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of feeling like this thing was going to be over. And now I don't know, and the reason why I don't know is because I'm thinking about Cooper Webb and the type of person he is, the racer. He's adjustable. He's a responder. He's the kind of guy that will correct the wrong quick. But if this track really is an issue for him, if this isn't his style, and the speed is going to be a problem on a track that demands a lot of speed, this Saturday might not be good for him. He might want to respond. He might, as a racer, be able to, but if the top end speed's not there, I mean, this Saturday, he could be a 4, 5, 6 again if Kenny rides like that again. I mean, we could see the same thing happen on Saturday where Kenny gets a 1 and Cooper gets a 4, 5, or 6, and now we're talking a couple points. So I can't predict it. These two guys, I can't put my finger on who they are exactly, because I was a little shook last night by everything. So I think that's what makes this great, right? Everybody who's watching this show, obviously you're watching the broadcast, which means Saturday you're ready for some good stuff, because does Ken Roczen come out and do it again? And if he does, wow, momentum shift. Does Cooper Webb respond and find a way to find that speed and either pump the brakes on Kenny or turn it back around again? That could happen. I love the rest of the class. Oh my gosh, Chase Sexton. Coolest part of Chase Sexton's night on the podium, he says second's gonna grow old pretty quick. That guy, I'm telling you, he is such a motivated, confident, like I want to win so bad guy. I love his race demeanor. And to have him go on the podium after 2 second place finishes and now he's unsatisfied, like, look out guys, that dude's got the right race brain. And once he learns to control that energy and that speed, which he's doing right now, he's done a couple of them in a row, look out for Chase Sexton. He's something special. Anderson, perfect timing. We're walking right to where oh man, Jason Anderson. There's a lot of funny ways to talk about the Anderson A-Ray thing. First off, I'm glad they're both okay. I talked to both, they're both fine. That's the first, obviously when things like that happen, my first concern is, are they okay? They're okay, so that's good. Now we can have some fun with it on the backside, because we know they're good. A-Ray told me what Jason said to him. I don't know if you caught it on the broadcast, but I made a little joke that I really love my job, because I really love my job. So I couldn't really say what Jason said to A-Ray, because I'd have been fired on the spot. So I had to, I had to let you all kind of have an idea of what he said. But Alex did say that he was mad, and Alex said he owned it. He said, hey, I don't think I was fully to blame for that. I mean, Jason didn't jump the jump right in front of me, and it's in a big rhythm section where we go 3-3-3. I'm thinking Jason Anderson, of all people, is going to be able to do it. So, but he did own it. He said, I still cross-righted, jumped into him, my bad. So I thought that was pretty high character of A-Ray. And this is where I'm really happy with Jason Anderson, because he was obviously mad. He's yelling at Alex. He loses a bunch of time. Then he misses the main by about a half a second, which Ricky joked around like, hey, if you weren't yelling at A-Ray, you might have got up to 9th. But I still think that riding that LCQ gave Anderson a little bit of a bump. His speed in the LCQ was phenomenal. So I think it kind of woke him up. But Jason goes on the podium and apologizes to Alex. Instead, he overreacted. But I like how Jason does this. Jason is so smart. He says, I still don't think what happened was cool, but I apologize for overreacting. So it's like he covered both bases. He's like, look, I still don't like what happened, but I overreacted. I probably shouldn't have said what I said. And then even today on Instagram, if you haven't seen it, Jason posted a pretty funny Instagram post about him and A-Ray, and just go check it out and get a little laugh out of it. But Anderson also flying, man. That dude is riding so good right now. And him and Sexton and Barsha, even Marvin in that heat, Plessinger, these guys are all shredding right now. And the best part of this whole thing is we got a championship fight, and there's all these guys that, like, they don't care. Like, they want in on that. Like, they want in on the fight. They want in on the show. Barsha wants another win. Sexton now is letting everyone know he's not satisfied. He wants one. Plessinger almost had one. He wants one. Eli, obviously. It's just, this class is cool right now. So that's my thoughts on the top 3. Eli was, I don't even know. I haven't even thought about it till right now. I don't know. That was just very vanilla. The whole day, whole night. I mean, he just wasn't great, which is weird because on Saturday he was phenomenal. I'm thinking he might run this whole Atlanta trip, but no. And then on Cooper Webb, as I was saying with Alex, he just hasn't been fast on these speedway style tracks. Even Daytona. Think about Daytona. He gets second, but he gives the little push out to Kenny in the corner. Plessinger passes him and pulls away. Cooper's not fast, okay? Top end fast on these style of tracks. So the big question is, in 3 days, does he come out here and find speed, or can he use his excellent racecraft, because he's got the best, to somehow still get it done in an area where he's not fast? And I'm telling you, if Kenny gets this in single digits before we go to Utah, we got something really, really good in that 450 class, because I think the 250 West Championship is going to be fun to close out. 250 East is going to be fun to close out. You got the showdown. If this 450 title comes down to 2 guys within 10 points, Salt Lake City is going to be off the hook, and I think you all want that. And except for the Cooper Webb fans, you don't want that. You want this thing over, but I don't think it's over. I don't. I think we still got more to do here. So that's it. That's Blair's breakdown. If you're wondering why we're doing it now, the lights got shut off on us last night because everything ran a little late. So came out here to check it out and give you guys a breakdown. We'll catch you Saturday. Oh, final note, Malcolm Stewart. I saw on his Instagram that he's going to try to give it a go. I heard last night that it wasn't great. He had a huge crash in the first turn. Actually, it was coming out of the first turn off this double. There's a bunch of riders that went down. So I didn't really get a chance to see all it happen. It happened so fast, and then the race moved on. But I just hope that Malcolm's okay, because he's having such a good season. He's built such a good base. He's that, like, every week top 10 guy chasing top 5. He's been a rock. And I just hope that a crash like that on the first turn and kind of in that mess doesn't take him out of this thing. That'd be so unfair to him. He's done so good at building this new base, and to have it go out like that would be horrible. So I saw on the Instagram he's gonna give it a go. Fingers crossed he does. I hope Malcolm Stewart is okay. That's Blair's breakdown, and we'll catch you all after Atlanta 3.